Hey folks, how's it going? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review, and today we're taking a look at this new Bartman action figure from Jakks Pacific's latest Simpsons toy line. I'm a big Simpsons fan. We've taken a look at a couple of Simpsons figures here on the channel page with the Bart Simpson and Homer Simpson from this Playmates toy line that came out kind of early to mid 2000s, and it is a decent toy line. You can get those figures over on eBay. I got those ones anyway, in box with their accessories, from between £5 to £10, and I've always wanted to add a Bartman to the collection, but with it being more of a niche character, he did sell for a higher price point, and so I kind of forgot about it. I'd gone to eBay a couple of times to look for a Bartman, but for like £20 and up, I wasn't too bothered. And then when Jakks Pacific took over this Simpsons line this year and revealed that they were going to be doing a Bartman, I knew that this was going to be the figure that I had to pick up. And so he's finally arrived. I got this from The Entertainer here in the UK. It was £18 and it arrived pretty quickly. Of course, I want to take a closer look at him here on the channel. But before we do, guys, let me know down in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on this Jakks Pacific Simpsons toy line, especially taking over from Super 7, which were a much higher price point figure. I'd love to know your thoughts. Are you going to be picking up any of this line? I'm really tempted to get Radioactive Man. I'm holding off just now, but I think I'm going to have to get it, especially after playing around with Bartman here. While you're down in the comment section, guys, if you could do me a massive favour as always and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. But let's not wait any longer. Let's start with the packaging here. I really like the box on this Jakks Pacific figure. I've not bought a lot of Jakks Pacific figures in the past. I do believe I have a couple, one of them being this Sonic the Hedgehog movie figure. We took a closer look at this guy when it came out here on the channel page for Sonic 2, and it's a nice little figure, but I have always thought Jakks Pacifics are catered more for younger kids, and if you go and check out the review, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. The packaging for Sonic here definitely was more aligned with a younger toy sort of packaging, but I have to say this Simpsons box right here is definitely more collector friendly, and I really like the size of it. We can see the figure, the things that it's coming with, really nice artwork all over it. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with this Jakks Pacific packaging for the Simpsons toys here. On the back we can see the Simpsons logo, Bartman, picture of the figure, and he looks awesome. We get the 20th Century Fox logo and Matt Groening up at the top right. We can see some of the other figures in the wave. Don't actually see Radioactive Man between these here, but I mean, these all look really good. I would be tempted to pick up some more if I didn't already have the likes of the Playmates Homer. I do have a wee Otto figure. Groundskeeper Willie, a great character, but do I need him in figure form? I can probably hold off. Bartman was a must-have though. I love all these characters printed all over the place. We've got Maggie, Marge, we get a bunch of warnings and stuff at the top here, 4+. Get the bottom of the front of the box, this side, and yeah, here is the other side. But let's get the figure out of the packaging. Firstly, taking a closer look at what we get with Bart, we get his slingshot, which I think is a nice addition. If you're talking accessories for Bart Simpson, his slingshot is definitely essential here. You see there is a wee ball bearing at the back, and it's sculpted to where it's being pulled. There is really little paintwork on here, it's just all the one shade of brown. Fairly nice sculpt, and again, I do like that this is included with the figure for £18. It does seem like a slightly expensive chunk of plastic considering what we get with it. The only other accessory is this skateboard, and it is really nice. I think the paint on this looks really good, and of course the green and the red is what I remember from the show. I think they've captured the skateboard really well. Bart can port onto that, and we can check that out later on in this video. But again, great accessory to include with Bart, and I think they've done this one really well. The skateboard, of course, can be used. The wheels roll about. And so yeah, two really cool accessories. But again, for £18, I feel like a lot of the money is with the figure here. Is it worth it? Well, I do think this is a really great looking Bartman figure. Going back to the Super 7 line, I love The Simpsons, but I was not going to be paying between £50 and £70 for these smaller Simpsons characters. And so when Jakks Pacific took over the line and it was definitely going to be a more budgeted figure, I got excited, and seeing Bartman here, the sculpt for $18, I think this is great. I think this could be one of the best Simpsons figures you could pick up at this point for that price point, the sculpting going on, and what we will get into later with the articulation. This is a really cool little figure, man. I'm really stoked on this. For a 2D character, I think it can be a bit risky when you're making these 3D models, but of course the Simpsons are characters in a show that has been merchandised for decades at this point, and I think although it could be easy to go wrong with, I mean there's a lot of reference points at this stage, but Jakks Pacific have absolutely nailed it. I think this looks absolutely terrific. I really do think they have nailed the sculpt here. From the spikes at the top of the head to those eyes and the nose. The mouth is a wee bit funny, especially when I was taking pictures of this character. I think the mouth could get a wee bit lost, but yeah, I really like the look of Bart here. I mean, all the paint is pretty clean. Something I've seen on Instagram was a lot of paint app issues with these figures. Bartman seemed alright, but some of the Homer figures and casual closed Barts, their eyes were a bit cross-eyed, and yeah, I could see that maybe being a bit of an issue with the other figures, but this, in terms of paint application, looks absolutely spot on, and I really like the look of this from front on, especially with the wee bow tie where the cape's been tied at the front. It looks great, accurate to the show. The biggest downfall for me with this figure, why would they do that? Why would they put all this printed mumbo jumbo on the cape like that? Like, I couldn't believe it when I saw this. When I took this out of the box and realised they'd done it, it was like a kick in the teeth, man. Like, this looks excellent. It's so fun looking. It's great to pose around. What is that, man? Why would you do that? Seriously, it ruins the figure. Not completely, of course, but looking at it from the back, you're just like, what? So yeah, maybe you want to paint over that. I don't know what paint would be good for that material of cape. Another thing that I would have liked would have been the cape to be more posable, even if it was just a softer plastic to be able to kind of move about. I would have liked that, but this is some really hard plastic and you're not going to be able to move that cape at all. The front of the figure looks good. We've kind of got the classic blue t-shirt as opposed to the orange. His shorts that you can eat, and we get the iconic shoes as well with the wee white dot on the insides of them. And so overall, for £18, this is a beautifully sculpted Bartman figure. But the articulation, the articulation is always going to be difficult to master on a smaller Simpsons figure. So I think for what we get, I'm actually fairly impressed. I would have liked maybe the head to move up and down. It doesn't move up and down at all, but you can get it moving left and right. Now, the arms are actually going to move about a fair bit. You can get it going to a 90-degree angle here. It swivels at the bicep, and then you do have this jointed elbow as well with some really nice movement there. You can rotate at the wrist and move that backwards and forwards. While I see this hand, I think it's important to note that that slingshot does not pour into this hand well at all. You really do have to kind of it's ported in perfectly first try. But earlier when I was taking photos of this, it really was a bit of a nuisance to get sitting right. Again, you might have to balance it a fair bit, but it doesn't just pop in there the way that you'd want it to. And now it's fallen and I've lost it. So yeah, although the slingshot is a nice touch, I would have liked to have been able to port it into the hand much better than it just kind of sits in the hand and you have to hope for the best. Same articulation in this arm, but of course we get the clobbering time fisted hand in the other wrist port. Then the shorts are going to move left and right. It does have swivel at the waist there, and something I was interested in would have been the articulation in the leg area here, and I have to say again, kind of impressed. Although the range of movement, it does leave some more to be desired. You can move this forward I have noticed it does swivel at the waist quite a bit, but you can get both of these leg bits, the top of the leg and the shorts, moving right forward like that. You can have them sitting down, and then you also get some swivel in the foot area here, and you do have this joint at the knee. So you can get them in flight poses, kicking poses, you can have them like kick flipping the skateboard and whatnot, but I don't know, I guess I would have liked maybe a crunch or something here, but don't get me wrong, that was always again going to be extremely difficult on a small Bart Simpsons figure. I think for what we get here, articulation wise, for £18, again taken from the Super 7 line that was like up at the £60 to £70 price mark, this is really impressive and actually more articulated than I even thought. But when I guess where I'm kind of leading to sometimes, sounding a bit negative in terms of the articulation, when I seen how articulated this was, in my head I was like, I'm going to have him posed like this and have him in all these fighting poses. It's going to struggle to get into a lot of dynamic poses, but you can still get him in some really nice poses that you wouldn't get a lot of other Simpsons figures into, especially those Playmates figures. And speaking of those Playmates figures, here is Bart and Homer side by side next to our new Jakks Pacific Bartman. And as much as I like those Playmates figures, this really shows their age, and oh man, the yellowing on Homer's shirt there isn't good at all. But I mean, that's kind of how I bought them on eBay, but it is making me feel like I'm going to have to pick up that new Jakks Pacific's Homer. And yeah, Bart as well, it really does show its age next to our Jakks Pacifics here. For the price point you can get these new Jakks Pacifics figures at, I think that they are probably the best Simpsons figures going. If you're on a budget, then Super 7's kind of out the window. As great as they look, I think they are set. I think every Super 7 figure is kind of overpriced at that price point. But yeah, I'm really happy with Bartman here, and I do feel like I'm maybe going to have to pick up a couple more of these Simpsons figures. Earlier on I mentioned the only other Jakks Pacific figure that I believe I owned. I could be wrong, this might not even be Jakks Pacific's. I'm 99% sure it is, and we can see that Bartman is actually standing even smaller than this Sonic. So if you're familiar with Sonic here, then you can see how small this Bartman actually is. For maybe a better sense of scale, here is a couple of our standard Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures. We've got the Amazing Fantasy 15 Spidey on the left, and the PS5 Renew Your Vows mode Spidey on the right. Two kind of average 6-inch scale figures, and we can see how small Bartman is standing next to them. And then to stand Bartman next to a Batman, we've got the McFarlane Dark Knight Returns Batman here on the right. And so then there we have it for our new Jakks Pacific Bartman action figure. I am really happy with this. Again, I've been wanting to get this character in figure form for a few years, and we've seen how dated the Playmates figures are compared to this newer Jakks Pacific. For the price point, I don't think you can go wrong with these Simpsons figures, and would maybe even argue they are some of the best, if not the best, Simpsons figures out there at that price point. Again, the Super 7 ones look really good. I've never held one in hand. I have other Super 7 figures, but for 60 to 70 quid, I don't really see how they could compete with these much cheaper, really nice looking articulated Jakks Pacifics line. And yeah, I'm really tempted to pick up more at this point. Maybe not Bart, I'm happy with Bartman here, but Homer, Radioactive Man, see who else they come up with. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Let me know if you're picking up any of these Simpsons line. Man, I love how that skateboard looks with imported on the top there. Yeah, this is great. Let me know your guys' thoughts while you're down in the comments section, guys. Please check out my Instagram. I'll leave that in the description below, and I'll be posting pictures of Bartman over there. Feel free to hop on over to the channel page, check out any of my other videos, especially the Simpsons ones, and see how the Playmates figures compare to Jakks Pacific at this point. Feel free to check out any of my other videos, click any of the ones that are popping up on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, I'll catch you on the flip-flop later. Cheers.